fucking simpletons. You might be watching this thinking that we're just starting to record another podcast episode with Dr. JC Monchief. However, being the simpletons we are, we've just been talking for an hour and 10 minutes and then realised that Jamie's mic was not on. So after about 30 seconds of crying over spilt milk, we just got on with it. So let that be a lesson to you. Sometimes wasting energy on things that you have no effect on isn't serving you. So welcome back, Jamie. It's the Pure Waffle podcast. I've already written down a few things that we spoke about in the last hour and a half. My mouth now is as dry as the Sahara Desert. And I'm definitely going to need a piss at some point, which I thought I probably would have been able to hold off. But second time in, you've had a couple of videos that have done well, haven't you, on your TikTok channel? You've taken some clips from our last conversation. What's changed in your life? When were you on last? Was it last Saturday?
I think it was a week ago.
It was a week ago today, wasn't it?
7 days.
What's changed in your life?
Well, ultimately that video blew up.
Yep.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because suddenly I'd never done TikTok, and the first video I put on that account was 135,000 views or something ridiculous like that. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I've had people from completely different parts of my life who have seen me on it, and they've messaged saying, I knew I recognised you. And it's really odd. I bet you've had exactly the same thing.
Yeah. All the time now.
Yeah.
All the time.
Do you not find it
out
strange
in public
that people who just essentially no longer form any part of your current life just pop up? You're like, oh, I remember you because I've seen you online.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I'm 45 years old, so I see that more and more now anyway, just in general life. You know, you'll put something on Facebook and then somebody will pop up that you've not spoken to for 20 years. But we're all just so interested in our own lives, aren't we? You know, that's ultimately what it is. But yeah, it's a funny one. I think also what a lot of people don't realise is when you film on TikTok, it's like looking in a mirror. So it reverses you. So you look normal to yourself when you're filming a TikTok, but the reality is you're reversed. So when people see you in real life that have only ever seen you on TikTok, it's almost like, you look a bit different. Is that really you? Is it not you? So I've met a few people that have only ever seen me on TikTok, and they're like, you look kind of different. But it is because of that. It flips it like a mirror does. So you don't see yourself how everybody else sees you. But I mean, I'm digressing a little bit. But yeah, it is odd. It's strange. It's funny because, you know, we don't really need to go into what your video was about, but you had a little bit of hate. And I've said to everybody that I've coached recently that when you embark on this journey of putting your life on a social media platform that everybody in the world essentially has got access to, you're going to piss somebody off and you're going to have people that disagree with you. So choose who those people are going to be. You know, if you went to an MMA training session and Group A was a group of, actually I've got a funny question as well for you on this subject. Group A was a group of 10-year-old boys that have never fought before, and Group B was a group of 10, 45-year-old blokes that looked like they'd been in a good couple of fights or two, and you had the choice of which team you wanted to fight. We know who it's going to be, don't we? You're going to fight the 10-year-olds.
Where on earth does that question come from?
Because when you're producing content, pick who you're going to have your fights with.
Right.
So when I make a video about flat earthers, I'm picking the 10-year-olds, aren't I, really? I know there's going to be blowback and there's going to be hate, but I don't want to start talking about things that might be going on the other side of the world, because when my opinion pisses somebody like that off, I've got a whole world of problems that I'm going to start to face. So I'm essentially saying, pick who you're willing to have these fights with, because you are going to have these fights. So I had my fights with the LTA, didn't I? Yes.
What happened?
Well, essentially somebody found my TikTok videos, and it was in the period of time where I was really just experimenting with content. So I was, you know, making content that was talking about daily stuff, or Andrew Tate was prolific at that time, so I'd read one of his tweets out or something that kind of got a lot of traction, but obviously his views, which in hindsight I should have said at the start, this is an Andrew Tate tweet. Instead, I just read it out. So people are going, well, is that your opinion on this? I think it was, here's 5 things that every young man needs to prepare for.
Was that from Andrew Tate?
Yeah, it was a tweet, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my mistake that I made. But anyway, long story short, the LTA looked into it. They said, look, there's nothing, you've not crossed any lines in terms of child protection or, you know, whatever. So there's nothing they can do. You know, they just said, just be careful of the kind of stuff that you put. You know, I guess it would have been the same if I was, you know, saying I was anti-vax or I was pro-vax during the pandemic. Just be careful what kind of stuff you're putting out, because you're putting your personal name to it. So that was that. But obviously since then, you know, you learn your lessons, just like we've learnt our lesson, haven't we, Ben? To switch the microphones on. And it's a learning process. But during that learning process, if you are mindful of the battles that you are going to have to face, and you're prepared for battle, and you're confident that you're capable of winning those battles, then it's all good. But here's the little question I wanted to say to you. What round, hypothetical, what round do you think you could reach